And welcome to the Odyssey Hour, episode 41. We are your hosts, the Odyssey Paranormal Society team, minus Sans Sam. Actually, that sounded so much. Sans Sam. See if you can do that like 5 times fast.
I thought you were just mispronouncing his name.
No, Sans Sam. No, I was not mispronouncing his name. I really hope that I would never mispronounce Sam.
I was going to say, are we going to have an issue? Are you okay?
Well, those are 2 different questions. Are we going to have an issue? And am I okay? That's two separate things. So, welcome, obviously, to another great episode where we are going to blow your minds with our questions and our knowledge and, I don't know, wiseness. Yeah, exactly. We didn't that I think, and if you guys want to back me up, you can, or if I'm wrong, so be it. But I think the goal of each episode is to get people to consider another point of view or think a little bit more about a certain topic, or maybe a topic that they have never thought of before. So,
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Perfect. So I guess let me start with, does anybody have anything new going on that they would like to share with the group?
Not really, but I was just checking my Facebook messages, and I had a friend request from my cousin who died 7 months ago.
Oh.
Well, accept it. He obviously wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Facebook is doing now, because Facebook is trying to like do everything. So maybe they have social media that crosses the veil.
Maybe so.
If they do, that's quite impressive.
Do you think that it would be Facebook in heaven or Facebook in hell?
Yes.
You think it'd be hell? Well, then I'm sorry about your cousin, Scott.
No, she wouldn't be in hell. No.
Well, if Facebook is in hell and she's using Facebook, then I don't know. 2 + 2 still equals 4.
Some of each. Yeah.
Gotcha. So somebody just like stole her name, or
probably.
What? Terrible. Why? If I may ask, why is her account still active?
No one has deleted it.
Oh, all right. Well, I just thought I would ask.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's like using it as like some sort of in memoriam sort of account, even though you said it's been 7 months.
Yeah.
It's kind of late for, like, grieve however long you need to grieve, but that's kind of late for an in memoriam account. You know?
Well, there are accounts on there from friends of mine who died several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just nobody has ever gone in to delete them.
Yeah.
Wow. Go Facebook. Well, okay. So here is the poll that I want to take to anybody that is watching now or later. If Facebook crosses the veil, where do you think it's going to be? In heaven or hell? Small little poll. So are we Are we all in agreement that it's down south?
I mean,
That's
yeah.
my vote.
It's kind of a hellscape of a website.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So much so that we have to go outside of it to do this on Facebook. Because this is cool. This is great. Therefore, it cannot have a place on the Facebook website itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't think of it that way.
See? Goal already made.
Mind blown.
It's what I'm here for. So, who would like to go first with their first question topic? Whatever.
I can go.
I can go. Okay, Haley goes.
Haley started first.
Yep.
Okay. So I think one thing I think about a lot of investigations is like when you're asking questions and trying to get responses, do you think you should sort of pose those questions more like in the past tense or more in sort of like present tense? So like, for example, if you're asking like if the ghost is using the kitchen or whatever, you know, would you say like, did you like to use the kitchen or do you like to use the kitchen? You know what I mean? Like, do you think you should ask it past tense or present tense? Do you think that intelligent spirits, you know, live in the present and live in the same sort of world as us? What are your thoughts on that?
I guess I never really thought about that, but yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on most of our investigations, we usually use past tense.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's like situations where you come across spirits and maybe they don't quite know that they're past, but I don't know. I feel like that might be a little more rare, especially with a more not notorious, but like well-known haunted location. There's obviously people that have come in to investigate before you, so maybe they've kind of caught on with past tense questions. But yeah, I guess my default is past tense, I guess, because I just maybe incorrectly assume that the spirits kind of know that their living bodies are in the past and currently they don't have a physical body. But yeah, interesting. It's an interesting thing to think about. Yeah, I guess I'll have to pay more attention to that going forward.
What about you, Scott?
I guess I think I do both. Just however it comes out at the time, and I don't know that it makes much difference which you use. You know, either way, it's I think you get the same answer either way, or no answer either way. No, past or present tense. I don't think it matters myself.
Gotcha. So I'm a little bit with you, Scott. When in both, it depends on like exactly what the situation is. If one of the claims is banging around in the kitchen, you know, banging pots, opening cupboards, you know, whatever, or somebody had some sort of experience, the client had some sort of an experience, I think then I would probably use do you, because it's more recent. You know, it's happening now. Like that's one of the claims. If there's nothing in the kitchen, you know, let's say it's the bedrooms, the basement, you know, the attic, whatever. And you're just doing your thing in the kitchen. You know, and if we think that it's one of the former homeowners, something like that, I think then maybe you would do like, did you ever use this kitchen? But honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's always like do or does, you know, something along those lines. Like, do you remember this kid? Like, I think even you used to do just to talk about the past. only because what we are doing obviously is right then. And I think I'm probably more of a do than a did, but I think every once in a while, just a question that that you're asking, did you use the front door when you came in every night? Something along those lines, when you're talking about their past as opposed to what the claims are happening now. I mean, if you're kind of trying to get what is going on in the house now or any location, really, I think you would use do. But if you're trying to talk about their past, let's just use the Leduc. I don't think that I would ask them, do you get honored by the sword? But it would, the one that's hanging up in the parlor, it would be, did you feel honored or whatever when you got this? So I think that's kind of the difference between the two. But I think mostly, since we're trying to figure out what is going on right then, especially in a private home, I think I almost use do. What about you, Haley?
I do try to make like somewhat of a conscious effort to stay present tense as much as I can. And I definitely agree with like what Mike and Scott said. Like it certainly depends on kind of the situation and the question that you're asking. Like if you're specifically asking about something from the spirit's past, then yeah, you would use the past tense. I guess I don't do it because I don't necessarily think that spirits don't know that they're dead. I think they probably are aware of that. Part of it is out of like a respect thing, like maybe they don't really want to acknowledge the fact that they're dead or like talk about the fact that they're dead. And also just like they might still be, cooking in the kitchen and we just don't know it. Like, so I guess I like to assume that maybe they're still doing some of these things in the present tense. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
So I have a follow-up to that. And I don't know if I have asked any of you guys this yet, whether on the show or just in general. Maybe I have to like way back when. But we're talking about them, just with this question, whether they know they're dead or not, whether, we keep using the word dead. I know I've brought this up and I'm going to bring it up again. So if they are intelligent and they can interact with you, they can interact with the client, whatever, are they actually dead? Is it right? I mean, we can say they don't have their physical body anymore, but if they still have their memories, they still have their personality, they still can do whatever it is that they are doing. Is it fair to say that they're dead?
That's a deep and philosophical question there, Mike.
I'm goal-centric tonight.
I mean, their physical body is dead, technically, right?
But is that yes?
Yeah.
But is that all that made them a person? Did their physical body make them the person?
I think it was part of it. So you could argue that part of them is passed on, but their like soul and what makes them like their life force or something like that, whatever you want to call it, your soul, like what makes you alive is, I mean, if it's still hanging around, then that part of you is still alive.
But
I guess
there's a difference in your terminology because you said a part of you passed on.
Yeah, your body passed on.
Your body didn't pass on. Your body's biodegrading in a coffin. Your body did not pass on.
It's a nicer way of saying dead.
But it's your soul that passes on, not your body.
But if your soul is still sticking around saying hi to everybody, is it really passed on? It's just kind of moved places.
Well, right. But see, that goes right back to the question. Is it then fair then to call them dead? I didn't say to call them passed on.
I mean, in a physical sense, they're dead, but the paranormal is not a very physical world. So I'm going in circles right here. So I don't really know what the answer to the question is.
You're welcome.
So I'm just going to be quiet and let somebody else talk.
I feel like I'm in philosophy class again.
You're welcome.
I had thoughts.
They need to become words.
They can't. It's hard to make this become words, because like I like physically they're no longer part of their body. Their their soul is no longer, I don't know. I mean, I think you have to, in order to answer this, you have to have a definition of what's alive. Does aliveness have to be being in your body? Like, because as humans, we don't really have another way to define alive versus dead other than like you're in your body or you ain't.
Then why don't we take a step back and let's talk about the definition of life. When is being in your body when the only time that you're alive?
I mean, you can consider that someone lives on through their memories, even if they're not physically there or even spiritually there. So, I mean, I think there's maybe different kinds of being alive, I guess.
Sky, you didn't get a chance to answer any of these questions. So, I mean, as a religious and spiritual person, what do you think?
Well, from my point of view, I don't believe in death. Death is an illusion. There's transition from one form of life to another, but basically, we are spirit beings who are having a bodily experience. We're not a body having a spiritual experience. We're spirits having a bodily experience. We take on a body to learn what we need to learn from it. And when we're done with it, we discard it. The same way that we do an automobile that doesn't work anymore. It's the vehicle that we take on and use to learn the lessons that we need to learn. And when it is no longer operational, we discard it and we go home. So death is nothing more than a transition. When our mother is pregnant with us, we die to her body and come into this world, and we're born. When this body wears out, we are born into another world. So this body is just a vehicle that we use for a period of time, but we are immortal. But our essence, everything that we are, lives on. It had a beginning, but it doesn't have an end.
Until we get eaten by God.
Okay.
Till he eats us.
Yes.
So
for breakfast with a little bit of milk.
That's right. I personally think I'm going to be a supreme pizza, but that's just me. So here's something that I think a lot, and this goes right into the same thought process. A lot of like rookies and like amateur investigators who think they know everything, even though they don't, make this mistake. Is they talk and they treat spirits that they're talking to as if they're not alive. So, I mean, one of the things that, and I think that I have, God, I hope I have, maybe not to you, Lauren, because maybe I'm just spacing out or whatever, but I could have sworn to Scott, to Haley, to Sam, that I and maybe I have, Lauren, I don't know, but try to instill in you the fact of treating the spirits as if they are still alive, as if they still have feelings, if they still matter. You know, like when we go to Leduc, we don't treat William Leduc as though he's some sort of trespasser. It's still his home. He's still the person in charge. And we try to treat him accordingly. And I think that that's the line that a lot of investigators don't have, because there are so many people out there who really will go into like the Leduc mansion thinking that because they spent money that the spirits owe them something now. And if they don't get it, well, then they get upset. I have actually had an investigation, and this person wasn't part of my team. She was a friend of an investigator who we were at a theater, Mounds Theater in St. Paul. And she literally sat there on stage and said, "We paid money to be here. You should entertain us." Needless to say that very shortly after she said that, she started feeling so ill she had to leave.
Serves her right.
It is. But this is also the same person who they called her the instigator. So that's what she wanted to do for some reason. She went down to Villisca, the axe murder house, and decided to be, an instigator. Well, then they slept there, like in the house, and she woke up bleeding out of every orifice in her face. And then they went back again, like a couple months later, 6 months, 7 months later, and she flipping did it again. It's like you don't learn at all. But one of the things that, and this is something that I'm so happy we haven't really had to encounter in any event that I or we have ever done, and that is encountering people who feel like spirits owe them. And I'm really happy to see that, the teams that we have worked with, Cat Paranormal, Supernatural, Investigators Minnesota, Bluff Country, any of the team, they've all had the same mentality of respecting the location, respecting the spirits. And that's why we work with them. But, it's a hard question. I mean, as you said, Haley, very philosophical. When does death, if ever, come into play? And when should we change how we treat people? Or do we ever? And I'm not saying I need answers to that. I'm just saying before we go on to the next topic, that's something to consider, because in your guys' careers, especially in residential homes, you're going to come up with that scenario a lot. How do you treat the spirit or spirits that are there? If they're dicks, do you treat them like that, or do you still try to show them respect? So, I mean, and that's all stuff that you learn through experience and everything. We can talk about it for hours, and it's still not going to come into play with certain scenarios. So that's just a blue water experience with that. I mean, Scott, do you notice a difference between when you started and to how you investigate now, or has it just been a solid line? Because you've been with me the longest.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think you're coming up on 4 years, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And for everybody that knows, Scott had brown hair when he joined the team.
Just had hair when I joined.
Yeah, he had a full head of hair. So, ladies, look at your future. Just kidding. But I mean, has the experiences over the last almost 4 years changed the way you do things?
I don't think so.
You think you've been the same the whole time?
pretty much do it the same way as I always did, but it's because I always had that attitude that you were just talking about.
That's true.
So, because I've always felt that I needed to respect the spirit world, and that's the best way of communicating with them and to get them to communicate with us.
Yeah. What about you, Haley? I mean, you're coming up. We're still like 3-4 months out, but I mean,
Yeah,
you guys are coming up on 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you noticed the difference in how you do things now to how you did things back then?
I mean, I don't think I've ever been someone who's walked into an investigation and not wanted to like have the utmost respect for, you know, the location and the spirits that are there. But I would say maybe now I try to emphasize it more so than I did then. Like I said, I've never been trying to like provoke anything, but you know,
No, you wouldn't be on the team.
No, and I think I have started to try to treat the spirits more as if, you know, they are alive and people who are there and that you can try to have a conversation with, and try to, you know, just keep things casual rather than having it be some sort of informal thing, because that's probably weird for them, you know. So I guess that's how I would say I've changed. You know, part of that respect thing has been trying to treat them as if they are there, which hopefully someone's there and listening, and you know, was or is a real person, depending on how you want to look at this whole conversation we're having. But yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, Lauren, you've been on a lot of investigations, but I mean, do you think that anything has changed based on your experiences?
I don't know if it's changed. I think I agree with Haley in that I like to think I came in with a very respectful kind of mentality. I like to think I'm a very empathetic person, and every time I go into a new situation, I like to think of, okay, what would like the other side, how would they be seeing this? And I'm like, okay, I would want somebody to come in with respect and treating me well and being just like a nice person. You can't come in demanding the world. And there's a lot I believe that the spirit world has a lot of power that we don't understand. So who are we to come in and demand anything, really? Like, there's a lot we don't understand. You don't want to mess with a lot of stuff. So I don't know if it's changed, but I agree with Haley in that the emphasis has kind of gone up for me. I know in my very first investigation, or very first or second, I think I was repeating questions a lot. And the main one I repeated is, are the people here respecting you, kind of thing.
That and do you want us to leave?
Yeah, because I wanted to be respectful. I'm like, if you don't want me here, I'll leave. That's fine. This is your place. It's not mine. I'm just visiting. So, but you get the kind of mentality that was going with that. I just wanted to make sure that they were comfortable because we're new people. Like, maybe they just don't want to talk to us tonight. And that's totally fine. They have every right to say that kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't know if it's changed. It's just I realize how important it is now and how severe the consequences can be if you don't go in with that kind of mindset, and also how little you see that in paranormal TV currently, which makes me a little upset because for people that are just getting into the field, you go in with bad habits and that's not going to end well.
No, it's not. But that doesn't stop anybody from doing it.
No, it does not, unfortunately.
And then I have to sit here and yell at all of you. Yell at them through you. So yeah, fun times. All right. I don't have anything more to add. So if none of you do, Lauren, you're up.
All righty. So I have kind of a fun question, and I don't even know how this came up. I think I was reading an article, and I'm like, okay, this would be fun to ask. So if you owned a house that you like bought and found out there's paranormal activity going on in here, and years later, whatever, you decide to sell the house, would you disclose the activity to the buyer?
there are actually some states where
Yep.
that's actually required.
That was the article I was reading. I'm like, okay, let's see who would disclose and who wouldn't.
The thing about it is, and I know I always go last, but I'll just let you guys think about it for a second. But you may even, you'll probably deter some homeowners, but you're going to get that young couple who loves ghost hunters or loves the dead files and is going to freak out, and it's going to be even more attracted to them, or the house is going to be more attractive to them because it has claims of activity. Like, they're probably going to think to themselves, if there's like wicked activity here, we might be able to get on a TV show. So, I mean, that's actually more of an attractant, I think, to some buyers. But yeah, like a family, but that's going to be like newlyweds and people who really don't have kids, or just paranormal enthusiasts. But yeah, I don't want to say expose, but if you tell potential home buyers and they have, like little kids or they're terrified of that sort of thing, yeah, you're never going to sell anything. But yeah, in some states, it actually, you have to legally disclose if you think your house is haunted.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny, but
I think it's only like 5 or 6. It's not that many.
No, although I'm sure it got brought up in some legislations a lot more, but probably got voted down, or not even brought up to a vote in more states than that. But yeah, I don't think Minnesota's one of them. I think in Minnesota you have to disclose if somebody died in the house, but not if it's haunted. I think
sounds right.
I'm looking it up. Like what states?
Well, Scott, what about you? If your home that you've lived in for years and decades had activity in it that you knew, wasn't just attracted to you, but like was home or land based, would you disclose it to the next owner?
I'm not sure whether I would or not. I wouldn't want to spoil the surprise.
Yeah.
I suppose if there was, there wouldn't be any poltergeist activity if I was living alone. But if there was, I suppose I would. I might. I don't know. I think if I were the buyer going into the house and somebody said, "Oh, we think our place is haunted," I'd say, "Well, that's fine with me." Fine. But I'll just do a cleansing and get rid of them anyway.
Very hospitable of you, Scott.
Well, if they cause problems, but I suppose if it was something that was really an annoying kind of thing, then I would probably tell them about it. But if it's in shadows out of the corner of your eye or something, it's no big deal, I might not.
Haley?
What kind of haunt?
Okay, well, first, it sounds like in Minnesota, it says it's like specifically in the laws, it says that it's unnecessary to disclose if the house is haunted by paranormal activity or supernatural. So it does specifically say that you don't have to say it. So they address it, but you don't have to say it. Okay, I think that I would probably disclose it. First of all, I was kind of thinking along a similar line to you, Mike. Like that might certainly, deter some people, but also like really attract some people. And also, if someone doesn't care, like Scott, then great, Scott can have my house. I don't know. I guess I would feel wrong like not disclosing it. I guess like if it was something that was like, if there's going to be kids living there and the spirit is going to be like attracted to the kid and like latch on to them or something like that could be potentially like a mildly traumatizing thing to go through as a kid, depending on the spirit. And also, like I personally, I wouldn't necessarily want my house to be haunted. Like I like to sleep soundly at night and not wake up to weird noises and scratches or whatever. So yeah, I guess that I would disclose it. I think it's someone's personal choice whether or not they want to deal with that, and I think they have the right to know.
What about you, Lauren?
Yeah, I think if it's a friendly spirit, and I like what Kim says that she would tell the spirits first. I like that. I would probably do that and just say like, hey, just so you know, we're gonna sell the house at some point. Just please like welcome whoever's coming next. As long as it's a friendly spirit, I don't see the need to like push them out. And I would probably, if it was a family with kids coming in, I think I would mention it. If not, I don't know. I feel like it would depend on the couple, but probably not unless they like specifically ask or something like that. I mean, if it was something negative, I feel like if it was my house, I probably would have like found a way to like get somebody in to like get it out already. So that probably wouldn't have been an issue in the first place. Or maybe that's the reason I'm leaving the house. I don't know. Yeah, I'd say unless there's kids or something that I'm worrying about happening in the future, I probably wouldn't. Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't sure how I'd answer this question, so I wanted to hear all y'all's answers. So that's why I asked.
So there is actually a right here in the corner, kitty corner to my house. I lived in this house for 6 years now. I think that house is on its third, if not fourth owners in the time that I've been here. And so if these people in this family, and they have young children, 5, 6 years old, I think they've been there maybe 6 months now, something like that. If in the next 6 months I see a for sale sign go out, I'm so going over there and asking if that house is haunted.
Can you imagine if we had an investigation on your street?
That would be amazing.
That'd be so cool.
I honestly, like, my Wi-Fi is titled Odyssey Paranormal Society. I am surprised that nobody is like asked what that is. But then again, I have, like I said, I've been here 6 years. I've only met the neighbors over here. That's it. I know,
Okay.
I'm just not very personable, I guess. But anyway, I would disclose it. I don't care what type of activity it is. I would disclose it, and I would let them know exactly what is going on. And the reason why is this: because people will sue you for everything these days.
True.
And so if they move into the house and all of a sudden they're being tormented or think they're being tormented, and I didn't disclose it, I will bet you anything I will have a lawsuit on my hands for not disclosing that. Even when you sign for any house, they have a thing in the contract that talks about arbitration. And that is like the mediation, obviously, if they get into the house and all of a sudden discover something majorly wrong that somehow was covered up, they still have the ability to go after you because you didn't disclose if there was some sort of thing wrong with the house and you tried to cover it up. Unless, of course, you're signing an as is, then you have, full right to do whatever you want. But just to get rid of the headache of the living, I would tell them about the otherwise bodied.
Is that what we're calling them now?
I'm gonna call them that now. So because I was about to say dead, and I'm like, no, we just had that conversation. I can't call them that anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna call them the otherwise bodied. But yeah,
I'm gonna write that down.
there you go. Mind blown. You can't buy this shit in stores, I'm telling you. So yeah, that's my answer to that. Scott, you have something you found on Facebook you want to share with us?
No.
Oh, you didn't have a question?
Nothing worth repeating.
Well, because you usually, anytime you have a question, it's usually, I saw this on Facebook is the start of it.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of crap on Facebook lately.
Yes, there is.
Like people posting a lot of photos and videos and saying, I'm freaking out about this. Can you explain this to me? And it's like, yeah, there's a spider web across your security camera. Or yeah, it's called a lens flare. Or yeah, that's, it's been all kinds of stuff like that. It's been people freaking out over nothing.
Yep. Which is another reason why I would tell people of any activity in the home, because they will freak out over anything. Especially if they're uneducated, which apparently all these people that have security cameras are. So, okay. I guess I'll go then. So I had a couple questions, but one I don't think is fair to, and yes, I know it got over on Monday. I don't think it's fair to throw that on you, because there's a lot of different answers that it could be. So I'm gonna go with part 2. Going on to the assumption or the hypothetical that like money and equipment and knowledge and whatever is not an issue. If you could develop one piece of equipment, what would it do for the paranormal, not just in general? Okay, well, maybe I should have gone with my other one.
No, this is a good question.
This is a good question. That's forcing me to be creative.
Okay, my mind immediately goes to 2 separate things. So I'd love if there was something, I don't know if it would be like some kind of glasses or something, but that would help you see like where energies are and maybe like the energetic fields and stuff like that, like in more detail, so you could see like, oh, somebody's standing in the corner of the room or something like that, like that'd be cool, so you can kind of see where everything is. My second thought is something that would help you hear where everything is. That would be just like literally like you put a recorder that's like somehow higher in sensitivity than the ones that we have now, that could literally hear everything that was on the other side, rather than just what they have to expel energy to put out, kind of thing, so that our devices and our ears can hear it. But I mean, that I feel like those are pretty broad things, because I just want to see and hear. So I don't know how creative that is, but I think those would be pretty cool products.
I don't even need to be here for this, because you just took both of my answers.
I'm sorry.
Whatever.
That's what I want to see and hear.
Whatever. What about you guys?
I guess one that I thought of that could be cool would be sort of like a translator device. So like there's a certain place that we've investigated at where we know that the owner spoke Norwegian. It would be really cool if we had some sort of device where you speak English into it and it like spits out a different language, translates it. I think that could be useful depending, if you're going to some sort of house that has a certain European background or whatever background, where
Well,
the
technically,
spirit.
we do. We call it Scott.
Scott, do you speak all languages?
No, there are a couple I haven't got to yet.
Okay.
Give it time. He's working on it.
When he gets there, then he can be the prototype, but he's not there yet.
Scott 2.0.
Scott 2.0. We're going to put his brain into a robot and just like bring it around with us, and it'll have like little wheels.
Has little wheels? Like
Yeah, like it'll wheel around and it'll have like a cute little face and be like, "Hi, I'm Scott. How can I help you?" In a robot voice. And it can say it in Japanese too. And all the other languages. So yeah, I guess I think
so
that
much
would
thought just went into that. I just want to point that out.
be something that would be cool. Damn it. My answer's ruined.
Sorry, Haley.
Okay.
Actually, you can do that already, Haley. It's Google Translate will do that.
I'm pretty sure Google Translate's pretty mediocre, but yeah. It would be just more cool if it was like, I guess, like a handheld thing dedicated to that. But yes, we could try that more, perhaps.
This is interesting. Serena, a portable wormhole machine. She could open up portals and close them whenever you wanted. That'd be dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why she said it's a double-edged sword, right?
Well, that just means you're effed if you do, you're effed if you don't. So, but yeah, but I think that's an interesting idea. But yeah, no, hey, I agree with you. The universal translator, but I think that could just be great to be used in life as well.
Yeah, beyond the paranormal.
Scott, what about you?
Well, I like the ideas everybody else had. I don't know. I couldn't think of it. The only thing that I could think of is Grant Wilson has always said that he wished he could have a machine that, he's got one that can read energy and read heat signatures. He said he always wished he could have one that would register smells and
I know Dave's a big one on that one too. Smell-o-vision, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the only thing that I could come up with. But
I think another cool one could maybe.
Hold on, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
But Lauren just had a moment. So
I did.
I think she has to speak here. She's going to explode.
What about a mood ring, but for like the energy in a room, so you could tell if like it's an aggressive vibe or it's a sad vibe or something like that, and then it can corroborate what everybody's feeling.
A spiritual mood ring,
right? For like the environment that you're in, that'd be pretty cool. Because when everybody goes into a room and you're like, oh, it's a really like sad, depressing vibe in here, there's nothing to corroborate that. So it'd be really cool if you had a device that could say, yeah, that's the feeling that's being put off in this room. I don't know how that would work, but I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be great if it had like the laugh-o-meter or whatever, the applause-o-meter, where the more noise you make, the higher it goes up. Like, it'd just be great if you could just like press a button, it would just like spin and then stop at whatever mood it sees.
Yeah, it could be that.
I'm sorry, I'm just putting a fun twist on it.
No, it could be whatever you want. I just think it'd be a cool idea.
Lauren, Haley, your answer. Because
No,
I interrupted
you're
you.
good. No, it's okay. I didn't realize that Lauren. I wasn't looking at the screen, so I didn't realize she was having her moment.
Sorry, I can be very expressive.
Listen. When you gotta say something, you gotta say something. I think
Brilliance can't be stopped.
yeah. I think some sort of sensor to like tell if energy is like intelligent versus residual would be kind of cool. Could probably help you a lot with like if it's worth it to sit there and ask a lot of questions or not. If you're just looking at a place and all you're getting is residual, then like maybe you focus more on equipment rather than trying to get intelligent responses. Or well, I guess that wouldn't work. But I don't know. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it would. I mean, not for residual, but I mean,
Yeah.
I was just thinking that if you had something like that, you would definitely save yourself a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, because when you're dealing with residual, why deal with it at all?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not ever going to interact with you. I mean, sure, you may be able to somehow capture footsteps or something like that, but who cares? It's not going to interact with you. It's not doing anything for you. So, I mean, yeah, I think that would be phenomenal. I mean, imagine that for private homes.
Yeah.
Going in there with this and just be like, you don't have to worry. I'm like, it's all residual here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, I like that idea. But was that it? I didn't
Yeah.
want to.
No, that's the extent of it.
Okay. So I just want to kind of go into more detail because literally, Lauren, you stole both of my ideas.
Sorry.
Wait, I shouldn't say you stole. You got them first.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. That's all right. Like I said, brilliance. So there you go.
Great minds think alike.
Sure. but no, I've often, it's right along the lines of an SLS, but it reads EMF. It reads energy and is able to actually, because I think the SLS just does displacement. It senses movement or whatever in this grid. But if you had something that could put a form or readout, especially in glasses, so you wouldn't have to like hold it. Like it would be, a pair of goggles or a mask or something, VR goggles. If the theory is true that all spirits are energy, and you get something that can read energy, I mean, I think it'd probably look a lot like the FLIR. Because since everything has energy, you're just going to be bombarded with different colors and stuff like that. But like the FLIR, the more energy it has, the more complex, obviously the more red or the more whatever color it uses. So I guess the FLIR version for EMF, I think would be a great thing to do. The other thing that also had to do with audio, not so much a spirit box, because a spirit box just does FM. But if you could get a device that would scan from all the way down to silence, all the way up to, booming, that only dogs can hear, that sort of thing. But be able to tell when it actually hits something and stop there. And so you would hit whatever frequency, whatever you're talking about or is registering that. So you wouldn't have to guess. I'm wondering if that's a little bit of how the spirit box works and why only you get so much silence, and then all of a sudden in like this one band area, that's where you get all these noises or all these voices. I'm just wondering if spirits talk in different frequencies and there's no one frequency that is used. So I think if you could have something that would scan all frequencies and be able to stop on the one it registers a voice on, if maybe you could actually have some sort of a conversation or communication. I mean, now obviously the cheap answer would be, I would like a piece of device that lets me see spirits.
Mm-hmm.
In full color, and I get to see what they look like and yada yada. But yeah, we're not going to make it too easy. So
I like that point about the frequencies, Mike, because I mean, if you think about it, like in, before we go into our post-body lives or whatever, we
Otherwise bodied.
yes, thank you. Otherwise
You're
bodied.
welcome.
We all have different sounding voices that are working at different frequencies, so that I think would make sense if they were sort of harnessing different frequencies when it comes to the spirit box.
I mean, not only that, but I mean, you all know, and I think any investigator is going to know that people even hear in different frequencies. I mean, there are things that you guys hear that I don't. It's why EVPs, unless they're like class A's and so clear, you there's no misunderstanding it. But I mean, how many times have we had to throw something out because we couldn't agree on what it was even saying?
Yeah.
And especially like how many times, even just recently where we came across an audio clip that we're sure is probably one of them, talking to us. It's not one of us. And like, I can't hear, or you guys can't hear like what other people are saying at all. Like there's a lot of times where I'd be like, okay, I can kind of see where you would get, like, there are times I can't even come close to hearing what you guys hear and vice versa. And, that all has to do with audio. So, I mean, if we can hear in different frequencies, why would we not talk in them as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, because then that makes me think, so like during an investigation, when you were like actually at the location, like doing a session where like you wouldn't be able to hear the EVPs that are outside of our range of hearing, if there is something that one person hears, do you think this, like, a spirit can directly just let that one person hear it if it's in a different frequency?
Yes.
Like that never occurred to me before, but that's a really cool theory.
Yeah, there are a lot of times, especially if you ask Dave, where somebody will hear something and the person right next to him doesn't. And, he's a big fan of saying, well, that experience or whatever was meant specifically for you. You even have, people have done this experiment a lot, since the Constantinos started doing it. But people will lay out 5 identical recorders all on like the same table, the same mantle. They'll start them all and they'll ask questions, and then they'll play them all back. And like 2 of them will have an EVP and the other ones won't. But they're identical. So, I mean, I definitely think, I mean, it's just another thing that we don't understand about how that side works. Why this person hears it, why this person doesn't, why this person sees something, this person doesn't. I usually chalk it up to craziness. So, but I think that's whatever a lot of people do. It's what we're here to find out. When we're not helping people, those are the questions that we have to ask, and the questions that we have to try to answer. It's just too bad that those bastards on the other side don't give us them.
Maybe we're not at the right frequencies.
Maybe. There's an interesting theory, and I'll just throw this out there for another time. I mean, we can discuss it if you guys want, but I've always been, you guys know this, flummoxed and pissed that I can't get a name to save my life. I ask a dozen times a night, can I have your name? Can you tell me your name? Can you introduce yourself? Please do so, and nothing. But then you go to, and this is why I think it's a little staged, because you go to like Kindred Spirits and there's not an episode out there where they can't get a name. And it's irritating to me, but whatever. But Dave mentioned something, and it's not his theory. He read it somewhere. I can't remember the original person who was talking about it, but he says you don't get a name because when they're on the other side, it no longer matters. It doesn't matter to them what their name was. And I don't know if I agree with that or not. I get the concept of it, but so I'm actually thinking I might start preempting that question with, I know this might not mean anything to you, but it does to us. Can you tell me your name or what your name was? I've even started putting out there, and you guys know this as well. What would you like us to call you? Like, I don't even care if their name was Ted. Maybe they want to be called Schlemiel or something like that now. I don't know. And that's fine. And I would call him that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things on the other side that we do not understand yet. So one of these days. But Scott, what do you think of that theory? Do you think it matters at all what they're to them on the other side, what their name used to be? Maybe that's why they don't answer. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I think if they're conversing with people who knew them in their lifetime, then it might matter. But if they're talking to strangers like us, I don't know that it wouldn't matter so much. For one thing, if you're asking what's your name, they may be in which lifetime. As if they've been reincarnated 1,000 times, they're going to have different names at each one. So maybe if you ask, please tell us your name in your most recent life. Something. No, I mean, we're lucky when we sometimes get them to say our names.
Yeah, they won't even do that. Selfish
very
pricks.
often. It happened, but not that bad. But it's few and far between.
Gotcha. So many follow-up questions to that, but we don't have the time. So we will adjourn for this week, and none of us will remember this topic next week, so we won't bring it back up. But yeah, so just really quick, because last week I missed the very happy birthday to Haley, which obviously was happening 2 days later. And so this week, so obviously very happy birthday to Haley, but last Friday.
Thanks.
And a very happy birthday to Miss Lauren this Friday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Virgos.
No,
Yes, I got my mug. I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, on that note, and we peaked.
And now it goes downhill.
And it's all downhill from here.
The day we get the astrology episode. Ah,
We can
Haley's
do it
leading it. I'm ready. I'm excited.
We can do it whenever.
okay.
Because
Can we get an astrologer on? Like Meredith or something?
That'd be
Meredith?
fun.
Meredith?
From the convention, Earthly Astrology.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I can ask, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Friends with Natalie. So Miss Fowler. Yeah.
Perhaps.
Let me see what I can do. So, all righty. Well, that does it for this week. Everybody, thanks for watching. We will be back next week with another wonderful episode. So everybody stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here.